Hey everyone. One of you recently brought up a great topic suggestion, which is minimalism and my thoughts on it. So that's what this video is going to be about. And I want to start this off by saying I don't really consider myself to live a minimalist lifestyle, but I have almost always lived on less than I need, and I usually will kind of hold myself back from buying things because I have a certain way of thinking when it comes to purchasing material items and that sort of thing. And I'll get into that a bit later. But I truly believe minimalism has kind of become a buzzword in today's day and age, especially if you go on YouTube and you can find all sorts of content creators who focus on minimalism, and a lot of them have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, so people are clearly interested in the topic. But I feel like some of these people go a bit too far, because some of them kind of make videos on selling nearly everything in their house, and they'll have like empty rooms almost in their apartments, and I believe that's going too far. You see, minimalism is something that requires a lot of balance, and I wouldn't follow these content creators that talk about you should strive to be as minimalist as possible and sell all your material goods and only have a bed and the computer and whatever else you need to live off of and nothing else, because that just seems a bit ridiculous. Now, I definitely agree that almost all of us should live on less than what they desire, because we as human beings can be just all over the place, and we can desire things that aren't really good for us, or we could just completely give in to our impulses. And a lot of people do that. They have no impulse control whatsoever. And meditation can help with kind of obtaining control over your impulses, because you just want to get to a point where you can feel your impulses or your urges rise up, but you choose to breathe deeply through them. And if you do that enough, you just keep delaying acting on that impulse, and soon enough it goes away. But most people aren't capable of that. So if they're at the grocery store and they see some fancy new object that they want, they'll buy that thing. Or actually, I said grocery store, I should have said like Target or something like that. But if you're at the grocery store, then people will buy food that they don't need, like ice cream and cookies and other desserts, that sort of thing. So impulse control is incredibly important, and it will help you live a more minimalist lifestyle where you're just not constantly giving in to your desires. So that's important. That's something I believe everyone should do, and that's something that I do myself. But you definitely shouldn't sell everything that you own. That is just utterly ridiculous. I won't even say you should sell 80% of what you own. There's a reason you have a lot of the things you have. So I would agree with selling things that you never use or completely don't need. Definitely do that. I mean, there's so many times where we just buy things that we think we'll need further down the road, but then we end up never needing it. Or we could be gifted things that we don't really need, and in that case, definitely don't tell the gifter that you don't need that thing, but just get rid of things that you don't use or no longer need. That makes sense. It'll help you declutter your space, and it'll help you avoid the mistake a lot of Americans make, I've noticed, or at least here in LA, where they use their garages as storage for a bunch of crap that they never use and don't need, as opposed to using it for their car. I've never understood that, because I would much rather use it for my vehicle so you don't have to wash it as much because it's out of the elements, and I'd rather just not have a whole lot of things so I don't need to store anything in the garage. But anyway, so it's important that you just learn not to give in to every desire that you have. And the thing that I mentioned earlier that has helped me in that regard is just, I can't remember who I first learned this from, but some financial person out there taught me the importance of just asking yourself, is this a want or a need, before you buy something? And you can even use that when it comes to grocery shopping for food, although it's a bit different, but you can still somewhat use that mentality there, so that when you're wanting to buy ice cream, you can say, is this a want or a need? And it'll probably be a want. Well, definitely be a want, because the only needs that you'll really have are the food that actually provides you sustenance, like eggs and beef and whatever else, vegetables, stuff like that. So get into the habit of asking yourself that question whenever you go shopping anywhere. just ask yourself when you see something that catches your eye, just say, is this a want or a need? Do I desire this or do I actually need it? And if you actually desire it, then try not to buy it. Try not to give in to that desire. Just say, okay, I don't actually need this thing. I'm better off saving my money and not buying it. And especially use that mentality when it comes to big ticket purchases like buying a TV or a new car, things like that. Especially ask yourself, do you really need that new fancy TV? Do you really need a new vehicle? Especially if your old one is still working perfectly fine. Ask yourself those questions, because quite often you'll find that like 80% or more than that, probably more like 90% of the things that we desire, we don't actually need at all. It's just stuff where our monkey brain goes, ooh, shiny new object, I want that. But you don't need it. So just try not to give into those impulse purchases at all, and always just get into the habit of asking, is it a want or a need? And if it's a need, then of course, in that case, spend the money on it, buy it, and you'll be good to go. So those are basically my thoughts on minimalism. I mean, I can tell you there are some areas of my life where I haven't been quite as minimalistic. For instance, I have quite a big jacket collection and sweater collection behind me in this closet, because I just got into the habit of buying things that I thought were cool. And then a funny thing happened where I started working out more, and now I run hot like all the time, and wearing jackets makes me overheat just way too much, so I hardly ever wear them anymore, especially living in LA where the weather is almost always nice. It doesn't usually get too cold around here, and a lot of the jackets I have would probably need the temperature to be around like 45 degrees Fahrenheit or lower for me to be able to wear them comfortably, and that doesn't really happen too much in LA. But the reason I haven't gotten rid of a lot of these jackets I bought is because I do eventually plan on moving to cooler climates, and they'll actually have a use then, but currently they don't. So I'm not buying any more jackets because I realized it was a bit of a problem, and that's how I kind of have learned to just take on that more slightly minimalistic lifestyle. But for the most part, I don't see any need to completely get rid of all of your belongings or to reduce them even by a great amount, unless you absolutely must do that. But otherwise, I'd say it's safe to just live on less than you need, and to always use that mentality of asking yourself whether or not something is a want or need before you buy it. But you really don't need to sell everything you own or anywhere near that. That's just stupid. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, the easiest way you can support me is just to like, comment, and share. Let me know your thoughts on minimalism and whether or not you plan on selling everything you own, or whether you'll just choose to live on less than you want or need and just get rid of stuff that you don't use all the time. But beyond that, don't sell like your bookshelves or things like, or a bunch of, well, actually clothes are definitely a good area for that, but only if it's stuff that you never wear anymore. But anyway, I'm going to stop the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!